that a gram? New card. What do you think?
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God. It even has a watermark.
In the 2000 film American Psycho, Patrick Bateman is perfect. He has a great job. He wears expensive suits. He lives in a beautiful apartment in Manhattan. He is rich, young, handsome, and powerful. But there is something wrong. At night, he becomes someone else. He kills, he lies, he loses control. Patrick is not just one man. He is a symbol of something bigger, a whole generation chasing money, success, and image, no matter the cost. To understand Patrick, we must understand the world he lived in. Let's go back to 1980s America, the time of the Yuppie. The film takes place in New York City during the late 1980s. It was a time of money, greed, and competition. Success was measured by what you wore, where you ate, and who you knew. It didn't matter if you were kind, honest, or even dangerous, as long as you looked like a winner. Patrick Bateman fits in perfectly. He knows the right clothes to wear, the right business cards to print, and the right words to say. But deep down, he feels nothing. He's not just hiding who he is. He no longer knows who he is at all. In one scene, he says, "There is an idea of a Patrick Bateman, but I am simply not there." He has completely lost his sense of self. One of the most famous scenes in American Psycho is about business cards. Patrick and his co-workers are comparing their cards, the font, the color, the texture of the paper. At first, it's funny. But then Patrick starts sweating. He becomes jealous, furious, almost unhinged. Why? Because in his world, something as small as a business card represents power. And the moment someone else looks more powerful than him, he begins to lose control. It's a perfect example of how shallow and competitive his world has become. Patrick isn't just a monster. He's a product of the culture around him. In a world that rewards appearance over substance and values money over morality, someone like Patrick doesn't just survive, he thrives. The film never clearly tells us whether the murders are real or imagined. But it doesn't need to, because what matters most is that no one notices. No one cares. Not because they're scared, but because they're too busy looking in the mirror. American Psycho is more than a horror film. It's a warning. It asks uncomfortable questions. What happens when society cares more about appearance than truth? What happens when we define people by their status, not their values? What happens when success is everything and being human is nothing? Patrick Bateman is not just one man. He is a mirror, reflecting back the dark side of modern life. To understand Patrick Bateman, we need to understand his world. He isn't just a fictional character. He's the perfect example of a real group of people who changed American culture in the 1980s. They were called Yuppies. Yuppie is short for young urban professional. These were young adults in their 20s or 30s, living in big cities like New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. They had high-paying jobs in finance, law, real estate, or tech. They wore expensive suits, drove BMWs, and spent their weekends at trendy restaurants or exclusive gyms. More than anything, Yuppies wanted to show that they were successful. They didn't just want to be rich, they wanted everyone to see that they were rich. That meant wearing the right watch, eating at the right restaurant, and having the right apartment in the right neighborhood. Everything was about image. The Yuppie movement didn't appear by accident. It was a product of its time, a mix of economics, politics, and social change. In the 1980s, under President Ronald Reagan, the U.S. economy changed. taxes were lowered for the wealthy. Corporations were given more freedom. Stock markets exploded. Suddenly, getting rich fast wasn't just a dream. It felt possible. At the same time, traditional values like community, modesty, and slow success started to fade. Instead, people began to believe in a new idea. If you don't show your success, you don't have it. So yuppies worked hard, but they also spent hard. They lived fast, dressed sharp, and moved up the social ladder as quickly as possible. Yuppies were always performing. They performed success at work. They performed beauty at the gym. They performed happiness at parties. Even relaxation became part of the image, with spa memberships, designer yoga wear, and power vacations. It wasn't about feeling good. It was about looking good. And in a world where image was everything, the pressure was constant. One mistake, one weak moment, one outdated suit, and you could lose your place in the game. This is the world Patrick Bateman lives in. He's not just part of yuppie culture, he is the extreme version of it. He goes to the best restaurants, listens to the right music, follows a detailed morning skincare routine, and judges people by their business cards. But underneath all of that, there's nothing. Just emptiness. And that's the dark side of the yuppie dream. The yuppie era promised success, happiness, and luxury, but it also created a world full of stress, competition, and isolation. Many yuppies felt lost inside, even when they looked perfect on the outside. That's what makes American Psycho so powerful. It's not just about a killer. It's about a society that pushed people to become shiny on the surface and broken underneath. American Psycho may be a fictional story, but the world Patrick Bateman lives in, full of money, status, and masks, was very real. And sometimes, the darkness wasn't just under the surface. It came out into the streets, the headlines, and the courtroom. Let's look at a few real-life cases from the 1980s that show how dangerous the yuppie era could be. Let's start with a story that shocked New York City. It was the kind of crime no one expected, not from someone like him. Rich, handsome, polite. But behind his smile, there was something much darker. Robert Chambers was a handsome, rich young man from New York City. He went to private schools, had wealthy friends, and looked like a typical preppy, a nickname for someone from an elite background. One night, he went out with a young woman named Jennifer Levin. They were last seen together near Central Park. The next morning, Jennifer was found dead. She had been strangled. Robert said it was an accident. He claimed she attacked him first, but evidence suggested otherwise. His face was scratched. Her body showed signs of violence. Still, the media treated him gently. They focused on his looks, his education, his charming personality. Some even blamed Jennifer, the victim, saying she was too forward or too wild. The press called it the preppy murder, and many people were shocked, not just by the crime, but by how society protected the killer simply because he looked like a successful young man. Not every crime in the yuppie era involved violence. Some were quiet, professional, and hidden behind polished smiles. The next man didn't carry a weapon, he carried influence, and his crime helped define a generation. Ivan Boesky was a powerful Wall Street investor in the 1980s. He made hundreds of millions of dollars by using insider information, secret details about companies that helped him buy and sell stocks at the perfect time. That's illegal. But he didn't seem worried. In fact, during a university speech, he said something unforgettable. "Greed is right. Greed works." Those words shocked many people, but they also became a symbol of the yuppie era. Boesky was eventually caught, fined $100 million, and sent to prison. But his message lived on in movies like Wall Street and in people like Patrick Bateman. Now, let's look at someone who played both roles, gangster and businessman. He didn't look like a criminal, he looked like a CEO, but the empire he built was based on lies, fraud, and millions in stolen money. Not all yuppies worked in offices. Some were criminals in expensive suits. Michael Franzese was a high-ranking member of the mafia, but he didn't look like a gangster. He looked like a businessman. He was smart, stylish, and smooth. He ran a massive tax fraud operation through gas stations, making millions of dollars by avoiding fuel taxes. He used offshore accounts, fake companies, and secret deals. And he lived like a king, driving luxury cars, wearing designer clothes, and speaking at motivational events. The media called him the Yuppie Don. Franzese was eventually arrested and served time in prison. But his story showed how even criminals could hide behind the perfect image. These men were different. One was a killer, one was a banker, one was a mob boss. But they had something in common. They knew how to play the game. They knew how to look successful, and that gave them power, even when they did terrible things. In the Yuppie era, style often protected substance. People trusted men in suits. They forgave beauty. They ignored the truth. And when the mask was shiny enough, nobody looked underneath. American Psycho may have been fiction, but the world it showed was dangerously close to reality. Patrick Bateman is rich. He is successful. He is young, attractive, and confident. But inside, something is terribly wrong. He feels nothing. He doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't even seem real. And maybe he isn't. Patrick doesn't have a true identity. He knows what to wear, what to say, and how to act. But when it comes to emotions, love, guilt, fear, he feels nothing. He has become a product, a walking brand, a mask without a face underneath. One strange thing in the movie is that everyone looks the same. Patrick's co-workers dress the same. They talk the same. They even confuse each other's names. At one point, Patrick murders a man, but later, people think that man is still alive. They mistake him for someone else. This confusion isn't an accident. It shows how everyone is just playing a role. Nobody really sees anyone else, and nobody really sees themselves. It's a world of copies, and Patrick is just one of many. As the movie continues, Patrick becomes more violent. He kills strangers, co-workers, even homeless people. At least he says he does. But by the end of the film, we're not sure what's real. Did he actually kill those people? Or did he only imagine it? The answer doesn't matter as much as it seems. What does matter is this. Patrick wants someone to notice him, even if it's for the worst reason. He calls his lawyer, he confesses, but the lawyer laughs. He doesn't believe him, and Patrick is left alone, ignored, invisible, and completely hollow. Patrick wakes up early. He follows a strict routine. He works out, uses skincare products, and dresses like a man who has control over his life. But in truth, he's falling apart. Why? Because when you live only for your image, you slowly lose what makes you human. In Patrick's world, there is no space for failure, softness, or self-reflection. There is only performance, only the mask. And eventually, the real person behind the mask disappears. Patrick Bateman is not just a psychopath. He is a symbol. He shows us what can happen when success becomes more important than meaning, when appearance is everything and emotion is nothing. He is what you get when society tells people you must be perfect or you are worthless. That kind of pressure can break a person. In American Psycho, it does. Patrick Bateman lived in the 1980s. He worked in finance. He cared about money, style, and his social image. But what if Patrick was alive today? Would he still care about business cards? Or would he care about followers? In the Yuppie era, people showed off their success with things: a fancy suit, a nice apartment, or a shiny new car. Today, people show success through social media. Beautiful vacation photos, perfect morning routines, designer clothes and luxury food, carefully edited, candid moments. On Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, people don't just share their lives, they curate them. It's all about the image. Like the Yuppies, today's influencers and online creators feel pressure. They must look happy, successful, and productive all the time. Even people who aren't influencers feel it. We compare our lives to others online. We try to look perfect, even if we feel exhausted or sad inside. Social media has created a new kind of mask, and millions of people are wearing it, just like Patrick Bateman did. The tools have changed. In the past, it was business cards and brand names. Now, it's hashtags and highlight reels. But the message is the same. Show the best version of yourself, or stay invisible. This creates the same result: anxiety, burnout, loneliness, the fear of not being enough, and the danger of losing your real identity. American Psycho is not just about one man losing his mind. It's about a world that makes people feel like they must perform, even if it destroys them inside. Patrick Bateman's world was full of people pretending. They didn't listen. They didn't care. They only looked at the surface. The question is our world really that different? So, today, ask yourself, are you being seen for who you really are, or just for the version you show to the world? It's okay to want success. It's okay to enjoy nice things. But don't forget, behind every perfect photo, there's a real person, and that person matters more than any image. Thank you for listening. This was not just a story about Patrick Bateman. It was a story about all of us and the masks we choose to wear.